everybody, and welcome back to Season 3, Episode 7 of Flipping the Bird. I am, of course, your host, Ryder, and today I'm joined by Ryan, Eddie, and Julia. How are you all doing?
Good.
Very good. All good.
All right, so we're going to change things up a little bit this episode. So usually we kind of start things out by talking about UTSA sports, but I wanted to really get into the women's and men's finals for March Madness this past weekend. I wanted to start on the women's side of things. Stanford beat Arizona by a final score of 54-53, I believe. And it was a really good game. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that game, and especially the final play. Julia, I want to start with you.
Yeah, I honestly was shocked that Arizona made it to the final. I thought it was going to be UConn and Stanford the whole tournament. This game was just very frustrating to watch for me because Stanford, I feel like, just threw away the ball continuously, like the whole time. They could have won by a lot more than they did, but the turnover ratio was insane. I know that Stanford and Arizona played 3 times during this season. And so a lot of the interviews were talking about how hard it is to beat a team 3 times. And I mean, they pulled it off by 1 point. If anything, that last shot was absolutely crazy. I mean, they knew who Arizona was going to give the ball to. She'd been, pressuring them all night, and the whole tournament, Ari McDonald was a major scorer for the team, like the only weapon that they have on offense. So it was very smart of Stanford to triple team her and kind of deny her with like 2 seconds left, I think. So, I mean, it is a crazy final minute, but I kind of figured that Stanford was going to take it this year.
Ryan?
I honestly, it was like looking at the stat sheet, you wouldn't think that this would have ended up in a 1-point game, but the fact that it did is just remarkable. And that just adds to like Ari McDonald's like legacy at Arizona. She absolutely like held it together basically the whole entire game for the Wildcats. They shot 28% from the field for the entire game. That is, if they would have made just a few more shots, they could have easily blown past Stanford. And they only made about 72% of their free throws, so just a little more free throws, and they would have, would have been a completely different ball game. And they also got out rebounded as well. And the fact that it was still a 1-point game is just insane. Like that just shows that Arizona had so much grit and, was determined to, get past Stanford. And it was honestly a battle the whole game. There were some moments where it seemed like Stanford was finally pulling away, and then Arizona would claw back in, and it was like this never-ending cycle all the way to the the last shot. It was honestly very impressive to watch, and very entertaining women's championship game. And it feels good. It felt like surreal being back at an event of this like magnitude again, like during kind of like at the end of this COVID pandemic that we're in right now. It felt very strange, but I miss that feeling of being normal again. So it was really, really nice.
Eddie?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I know a couple of us, I think last week we picked Stanford and Connecticut. Well, I know I picked UConn. I know a couple of y'all picked Stanford. But I mean, Arizona steamrolled through Connecticut, so I think it's glad that I was wrong, because I do like to see. It just shows like the March Madness effect, if you will. It's just good to see somebody out there and agree with Ari McDonald. I mean, I think she balled out, and of course everybody knew it was going to go to her, and she still was clutch. So I'm glad on how the outcome was.
Yeah, I think overall it was not the most well-played game in the world. It was a bit, in honesty, it was almost a very like disappointing end in terms of just the quality of the game for what had honestly I thought had been a really good women's tournament. Like the level of play was really solid almost the entire time, especially some of those classic games. I'm thinking like the Baylor UConn game was excellent in the Elite Eight. I thought that Stanford South Carolina was really like just fun to watch. But I feel like this game in particular, there was just a lot of sloppiness. I mean, Stanford turned the ball over. I mean, like you can't have a team shoot 28% against you and only win by 1. You just can't do that. Now, in regards to Ari McDonald's like last shot, like here's my thing. there are certain times in the games where you know that a play is going to happen, and you know that no matter what, Kobe or MJ is going to get the ball, and that is going to be the last play. On the other hand, though, I just don't think it's the right move to, if the play breaks down, which it did, she tried to get inside and penetrate. They just kept her out. And then she dribbled herself into a triple team. At a certain point, you have to realize you're in a triple team, and you have to be able to know, I would much rather take a role player with a wide open drive to the lane and a floater with like a second left on the clock than I would with my star player being draped over, triple covered with a turnaround three. And to her credit, she almost made it. I mean, like, that thing clinked off the rim. It was so close to being immortal, but that's just such a low percentage thought. I'll take my chances on somebody wide open on, the wing. Because, I mean, like, she had options on both wings. So I think another thing that I wanted to ask you guys is it the right move to always go with your best punch in those situations? Like, for example, I can think of last year in the NFL, I believe it was week 2 or 3, and it was New England on the, 2-yard line, end of the game with a touchdown to win it. Everybody in the stadium knew it was going to Cam on a QB run. They called it anyways, and he got shut down. So do you guys think that it's always the best move to go to your Kobe or MJ, even if it's going to be a quantifiably harder shot, knowing that they are going to expect it? Eddie, I want to start with you.
All right, perfect. Because I got the answer for it. So 2 things. Yes, it's always the best option to, if you're double teamed, last second, last shot. Of course, it's always a smart option to go to your open player. But the thing is, sometimes they're not ready for the moment. I don't know if you remember in the finals, LeBron threw it out to Danny Green in Game 5, I believe, or Game 4, wide open, just wasn't ready for the moment, missed it, had to go an extra game. So, yes, of course, it's a smart move, but what pays people to keep watching? What are people here for? They want to see the best player make the craziest shot in clutch time situations, because that's what we're here to see. So it just depends, like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to be selfish and give the people what they came to see, or do you want to make the right call and then maybe give it up to another player who's not ready for the moment, and then, put the pressure on them instead of yourself? So that's what I got to say for that.
Ryan?
Yeah, I agree. If you have a player of like Ari McDonald's status and she has been balling, the whole tournament, like, I would want her to take that last shot. Like, I totally think like it's up to like which players are built for the moment, and she was definitely built for the moment. Although the shot didn't go down, I mean, she was spectacular the whole tournament basically, and you don't want to like ever have regrets when you walk away from the court. You don't want to ever be like, oh, well, what if like this person would have taken the shot, or like, oh, what if this person would have taken the shot? I think you'd rather like, go out there and throw your best punch and see if it's going to land, because you don't want to ever say like, oh man, I didn't get the chance to, and I should have. So I think you just got to go 100, especially when it comes to the March Madness tournaments and like with the women's championship, the men's championship. You want to just leave it all out there. You want to, no questions unanswered. You want to everything on the line. You got to do it.
Julia?
I actually hadn't considered your point, Eddie, about somebody else not being ready for the ball, because my initial thought was like, no, you shouldn't go to your star player. I mean, they knew who the ball was going to, and even Kiana Williams was talking about it in her post-game interview. She was saying, like, we knew who the ball was going to. We knew who was going to put the shot up, so we needed to just shut her down. I mean, they did it, but the whole time I was thinking, why isn't she passing it to somebody else? Or somebody else is wide open if she's getting triple teamed, obviously. But I mean, I do agree with you, kind of on like both sides. Like, somebody else should be ready for the ball, because like you shouldn't be unprepared in those like big moments like that. But at the same time, I mean, if you think that your star player is going to take the shot, then you won't be ready, So, I mean, it's kind of like an up in the air for me. I mean, I think that she should have taken that shot because she was the most consistent throughout the tournament. But I do think that maybe the outcome might have been a little bit different for them if she had passed it to somebody else. I mean, she almost made it, triple teamed. So that says a lot about her, I think. But I don't know. I kind of am on both sides, I guess.
I'll say this much. She had earned the right to take that shot. I mean, she was the undisputed. She is the reason they were there. It was her right to take that last shot. I just look at it as you're triple teamed. You're falling away from the rim. It's already a tough shot. But on the other hand, Eddie, I see your point in that, you have to be built for the moment. And I mean, looking at the body language, at least of the people open, they weren't calling for the ball. They were standing there looking at Ari like, okay, you gonna take the shot or not? Like, there wasn't any, like, nobody was demanding the ball in that last second. I'm open. It was more just, I'm gonna stand there with my hands on my side, just like waiting for it to happen. So
Yeah.
I can see both points. I will agree that it takes a special player. However, I think that special player reaches a limit where sometimes it is just a better idea to pass the ball where you have that better shot. Because then, I mean, if you make it, great. If you miss it, well, now you're dogged by the what ifs of maybe I should have passed it. Whereas on the other hand, if you pass it and they miss it, now you're like, man, I should have taken the last shot. Like, no matter what, there's always going to be, successes and failures in these situations. Like, either way, either decision you make, you're going to be questioning it if it doesn't go your way. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was about to touch on again. And like, especially in the NBA or all the greats, LeBron, Kobe, Jordans, Steph Curry's of the world. That's the thing too. Like, it's like if like you said, failures and positives. Like a lot of people are always going to question, like, hey, he shouldn't have passed it. Like, why would he put that player in that situation? Like, he's the one we're here to see. He should have shot it. And then if he shoots it, oh, he shouldn't have shot it. He should have passed it out. Like, you're never going to win in those situations. That's all I was going to say.
I think one more player I want to add onto that list, Robert Horry. Big shot Rob.
Big shot Rob. 100%.
Maybe not star player, but that was a man built for the moment.
The GOAT. No, I'm playing.
Maybe go to playoff winners, man. Like, he's taken some big shots over the years. All right, so now we're going to move from the women's side of things to the men's side of things. And what was fated as kind of like the clash 2 years in the making. It didn't turn out to be much of a competitive basketball game. Baylor, of course, ran over Gonzaga by a final score 86-70. So I wanted to get your guys' reactions to the men's tournament in general, and especially this game where I don't think many of us saw that sort of domination coming. Ryan, I want to start with you.
Yeah, I was just completely shocked like the whole time during the championship game, because I was like, man, Baylor is just, they are essentially in control, and it seems like they already knew that the championship was going to be theirs. It was just it was so strange to see, because I honestly thought it was going to be kind of one of those classic back and forth championship moments between two, giants this season, but it was definitely a bit underwhelming. But I mean, hey, it was still a pretty good game, still pretty good Final Four ish. But yeah, I mean, congrats to Baylor. I saw a video of their coach, like when he got hired, and he was like, I'm going to bring a championship to Baylor, no matter how long it takes. Might take a long time, but I'm going to be a champion here. And I mean, he fulfilled on that order, and I mean, they're champions. So that's, I mean, that's great. That's always fun.
Julia, I want to go to you next.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see much of the men's tournament because I did work every round of the women's, but I was kind of shocked. I did not have Baylor picked to win. I mean, Gonzaga hadn't dropped a game all season. So, I mean, they were looking hot, but it was super surprising to me. I saw a tweet and one of their coaches had replied to a tweet that was saying something about how the Baylor team lifted with the football team. And the coach had responded and he was like, it starts in the weight room. You can't be competitive unless you have the foundation of, strength and I guess conditioning, you could say. But I mean, it was huge. I was not expecting that win whatsoever. But I mean, I'm not a Baylor fan, but at least, Texas has a a team with the championship, I guess. But
Texas is a basketball state.
Our second national champion in basketball.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy, but I mean, it kind of goes to show like you never know what's going to happen. I thought
Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, my picks, I mean, I told you I had Gonzaga and men's and UConn and women's, the same thing. I'm glad. I was disappointed. I didn't see, I had texted you saying, whoa, like Baylor, they came out with a game plan. And, Gonzaga, I've been seeing them kind of like just coming to the game and just thinking that, it's going to be a cakewalk like every other team. And Baylor just out rebounded them. They assisted more. They had less turnovers than them. They just played way better than Gonzaga, and they just weren't ready. And at this stage, at this level championship, if you're not ready, you're not going to be able to come back late.
Yeah, I want to start off my points by saying Corey Kispert, Gonzaga forward, I believe, came out after the game and said, we just got straight up punched in the mouth at the start of the game. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, like, Gonzaga just came out so slow. I wonder if by the way, that UCLA Gonzaga semifinal was absolutely amazing. Like, I didn't get to watch the game, but I went back and watched all the highlights. That was an amazing Final Four semifinal game. And that last shot by Suggs was cold. Like, that man is ready for the NBA. But I can't help but look at that game and wonder, man, did that really like just take it out of him mentally? Because Gonzaga came in and they just looked slow, and Baylor looked just ready to win a championship. I mean, they came out and I think they had the first 6 or 7 offensive rebounds of the game. Like, their 3-point shooting was just incendiary. Like, Baylor just was ready and they built up that lead, and Gonzaga made a couple runs, but they couldn't ever get that sustained momentum. I mean, like, right at the end of that first half when they went on that like 9-2 run and got back within 10 at halftime, I kind of was thinking, okay, maybe this is where, Gonzaga is established. They'll come back, they'll claw their way back through the second half, and we'll get a good finish. And then Baylor just came right out of that second half and just stomped them into dust.
Yeah, I think the rebounds was like the major thing, like you say. I mean, 38 to 22. I mean, that's almost double digits.
Yeah, and I think just like those 3 guards for Baylor, like Davion Mitchell and the other 2, are just like, they were so good. Like, they could just get anything they wanted off the dribble, like whether step back, dribble penetration, like they were just on it. Like, and I think another thing that I saw in the media, like in the days after, like Baylor is a team heavily built on like the transfer market. That's where a lot of their players have come from. I think that's really interesting because you don't really see that. It's more of a recent trend in college basketball, as you're seeing more and more of these teams that are really successful coming through the transfer market. So I think that's a very interesting trend, and I would expect that almost to continue going forward.
do you guys think that it's kind of sometimes hard to root for Baylor because of all the controversy that surrounded them for so long, especially in the athletics department?
It complicates things a lot.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I would say that at the very least, the basketball team with Scott Drew is relatively easy to root for, just because it's that underdog story. I mean, that was the job that nobody wanted. But I mean, looking at like the football program, I just can't find it in my heart to really like accept it. Because I mean, like, granted, none of the players now were involved in that are playing there, but still, just like something about the administration just makes me feel it's a little gross and icky, right? Like,
it's gross. Yeah. Definitely gross.
Does that affect their recruiting at all, do you think, or like any transfers? I mean, I know like you said, like the players aren't there anymore, but just that reputation.
I think Baylor winning the national championship this year is kind of like almost turning a new page for them, like athletically. And then like also like just like the football program in general, I think it's also starting to turn a page and trying to get, away from that Art Briles era and try to get into this new era of Baylor football to where it's kind of like, they could be proud and not have to deal with scandals and stuff. And I don't know. I just feel like things are slowly changing, but we're like kind of in the transition period right now. So like it's still kind of awkward because everybody basically remembers, but we're almost there where it's going to be a different, new era essentially.
I mean, I would have to give a lot of credit to Matt Rule for kind of almost like really resetting the deck there. And then I think I mean, they weren't the exact same kind of incidents, but like in terms of like Penn State, we don't really think as much now about that. And the first couple of years, that's all we could really say about Penn State was those scandals with Sandusky and everything. And I think through the like, what was it, 1 year Bill O'Brien or something like that, and then James Franklin, we don't really like think of that anymore. Like it's something that probably we should remember about it, but it's not the first thing that pops into our head when we think Penn State nowadays. I think you're slowly starting to see that with Baylor. The further and further we distance ourselves in the time frame from that scandal, the less and less we're going to associate Baylor with that. But it's something that I think that it's important to always remember about it, and that yes, this did happen.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to move on to UTSA sports. Men's golf is now our highest ranked program in our athletics department right now, ranked 26th. Came through with a 5th place finish in the Bayou Classic. So, Eddie, I want to start with you. Golf, I feel like golf deserves a little more love right now. I mean, they're pretty consistent.
Definitely. And I'm actually ashamed that I don't follow them that much, but they have been doing good. I mean, they've been 6 out of 18, Board Olympics, 8th out of 16 against Cabo. Second, just a couple of weeks ago, now 5th out of 17. I mean, that's not bad. They definitely deserve more credit. I know Hunter Bott and Christian Fanfelli, both tied for 16th, so that's good. I mean, and a 5th place finish is not bad, so you're definitely right. They do deserve more.
Julia?
Yeah, I agree. I think they're kind of finding their groove. And looking at who they were competing against, I think it's very impressive that they're, making a name, I guess, for the program. They kind of struggled in the second round a little bit, but all of the scores were fairly consistent with, scores that they should be shooting. I think it was cool that their level of competition this season, I know I harked on them a little bit last week. But their competition and who they're up against is very impressive for the status of the team right now. So I think I definitely think that they deserve some more love.
Ryan, does golf deserve some more love?
Yeah. I mean, if they're ranked this high, is this like the highest that any of our athletic teams has ever been ranked?
I don't know if it's
For
the
sure.
highest we've ever been ranked, but I know that this is probably
Up there.
it is the highest I've seen us ranked since I've been in college, and I've been here since 2018. So
Then yeah, they definitely should be, better celebrated. I mean, clearly they've been showing that they're playing pretty well against, teams of light competition and, stuff like that. So as long as they can keep this energy up and they can take it all the way into the USA Championships at the end of this month, I think. I mean, who knows what they can do, man.
yeah, I think that this team is it's so consistent. I mean, like our highest place finisher, of course, tied for 16th between Fanfel and Bott. And then our lowest place finisher was Michael Rome down in a tie for 34th in a 96 person field. Like that was very consistent. I mean, like we were the top ranked team in this tournament. I can't remember the last time I could say that about any UTSA sport, that we were the highest ranked team attending. Like, so in some ways I would almost say that, man, 5th is a little disappointing in that sense, but like still 5th place, that's a solid finish. So I think that they do deserve some love. Like it's always like our best sports are the fringe sports, but I don't feel like that should disqualify them from our love, right? Like, of course, we want our basketball and our football and our baseball programs to be successful, but we have successful programs right now. And I feel like, when COVID is like past and we can, finally actually start showing more support, I feel like these other sports need some love because we are doing good work there. So, yeah. Now, we got to move on to some less exciting and less joyful news. I've been really harping on the baseball team as, this big Conference USA title contender and everything. Well, that could still hold true. However, we did hit a bit of a snag this past weekend. Southern Mississippi came into our home field and they pretty much wiped the floor with us all 3 games that we managed to play. It was 4 game set, but the last one got rained out. Dropped us to 500. Julia, I wanted to ask you specifically about the pitching staff. What are you seeing going wrong out there?
Speechless. The first game of the series I went to, and I was horrified. Not gonna lie. I mean, we rotated through like 5 pitchers in the 3rd inning. They had 2 outs, and we just kept walking everybody. They scored a majority of their runs off of walks because we just couldn't find a consistent pitcher. It was very, very, very rough. I mean, I can't speak for the rest. I mean, obviously, looking at the scores, we lost 9-13 and 5-11 the next 2 games, but I mean, it I don't know what the deal was. We had a great series against Rice, and then all of a sudden we just like dropped the ball. It looked like a completely new team, or at least a new pitching staff. I mean, Coach Hallmark yanked out Nick Thornquist after I think it was the 4th inning, and put in some catcher. No offense, if you're listening, probably not, but just some like random dude I'd never seen before, because Thornquist has been catching since, I mean, every game that I've been to, and I've been to a lot. I mean, I wasn't expecting Southern Miss to steamroll us like that, but it is a little bit concerning looking forward because like Old Dominion and Charlotte have only lost one game or one series. They're 7-1, both of them. So if we, we're caught with our pants down, so to say, with this series, like it's eyebrow raising looking forward at the rest of the schedule. I don't
Ryan,
know.
what are you seeing going wrong with this pitching staff right now?
Julia, I just want to say I loved that analogy that you just threw out there. That was amazing.
I was trying to think of something that wouldn't get me in trouble.
I love it. But yeah, I mean, like Julia said, it was like a completely different team this series. I mean, they, basically completely dominated Rice for about 4 games. And I mean, despite that one loss, but I mean, it was still nothing too crazy. But yeah, like it was just the series against Southern Miss. They just completely were. It's like they weren't who they couldn't remember who they were or something. I don't know. They got amnesia, I guess. It was just, too many runs given up. The pitching staff just seemed so inconsistent. I don't know what happened between Rice and Southern Miss, but whatever type of preparation that they were doing before the Rice game, they need to go back to doing that, because I mean, they definitely switched something up before this Southern Miss series. Maybe it was the rain in the area or something during the series. It was just, very bad to watch. Like they gave 13 runs against Southern Miss in that one game. I mean, you put 9 up yourself, but you gotta help your your batters out a little bit. Your pitching staff's got to be a little more strong. So if you're putting up that much runs, you don't have to rely on always putting up runs to catch up each and every game. You want to kind of balance it out. So I think that's kind of like the current state. It's kind of the story that we've seen all season long. The bats have been there. The bats are awake and alive, and they're here. But it's more along the lines of the pitching staff has kind of been a little lackluster. And if they can clean up a lot of the pitching issues and the errors that they have, I think, we can see a team that could potentially make a run in the tournament. But as of right now, it seems like they're a little bit scatterbrained and they're still trying to find their identity, this part of the season. But we'll see as the season continues to progress and how they can perform from this point on.
Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the same thing we've been talking about since week 1. We've always said it, this team can slug, and the pitching's always been questionable. And I always said, like as the weeks come, we'll figure out what this team's identity is. And right now, I think it might be at the lowest point. And I know we're like almost midway season, would you say? And I know, before the past 7 games before this, they went 6-1. And why is it that, Southern Miss just made us completely like rearrange our entire roster just to get a game going? Like, and I'm actually kind of glad the last game was canceled, because I think it would have been the same result. But that's pretty much it. What all of y'all were saying, just inconsistency. That's the main thing that we have been seeing from this pitching crew. And I don't know. I think like all of y'all said, that we could make a run, but it's just that thing, because we can't hit with all of them. It's just the pitching's going to have to be a huge I don't know how you said they were bouncing the entire roster, but I want to know your take, Ryder, because this is your sport. This is your thing. I want to know what you got to say.
So I've been keeping track of the games, and I'm looking at the box scores and everything. And I think the really surprising thing over the course of this last 3-game stretch, and honestly a little bit in the Rice series too, it's just like our starting pitching staff was like really solid towards the start of the year. Like Luke Malone and Shane Dowdy were like 1-2 solid punch. They were always keeping us like low scoring games to where the offense could have time to eventually, find that like 3-inning outburst that we're so accustomed to lately. But over the last couple weeks now, Dowdy hasn't pitched in 2 weeks. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if there's something else going on, but he hasn't been there, and he is our ace, and we need him. And then Malone has really kind of had a downturn in form recently. They brought him out of the bullpen during this series. Like he kind of was firmly entrenched at that like top of the rotation, like number 2 guy. And all of a sudden now he's kind of lost his form. And then looking down the bullpen, I mean, like Kobe Jaramillo has a 5.25 ERA, Hunter Mason 5.57, Kyle Sunduck a 12.27 in 4 appearances, Guarardo with a 9.53. Like our guys just aren't getting outs, and we're just letting way too many runs come across the plate. Like I don't know if it, and I think another thing is we're pretty low on the strikeout range too in terms of Conference USA. I don't know our exact position right now, but I know that we rank towards the bottom half of the conference in strikeouts. So we are just finding a lot of missed swings right now. Like people are really teeing up on us. Like what's his name? Sunduck is allowing a 267 batting average, Mason a 292. Malone's at 286 as a starting pitcher. Like those are like numbers that you don't want to see from your like guys that you're counting on in the rotation and towards the back end of games. So I just feel like I don't know if it could possibly be the fact that we brought in a new pitching coach this season. Is just taking us a little more time to kind of get acclimated, but we're just really inconsistent right now on the mound, and that's really, I mean, like the offense is there. We've been saying that since we started talking about baseball on this podcast. The bats are there. We can hit and slug, like Eddie says, with anyone. But if you got a starting pitcher that you're counting on with a 5.87 ERA, that's just not a recipe for success. And I would say Simon Miller, who was awesome during his first 2 starts for us, would be an option there. But then he came out during the Southern Miss series and just got shelled. Gave up, I think it was 6 runs in 3 innings of work. Like, it just seems like we just can't find a solid option behind Dowdy. And Dowdy's MIA. Like we need him to come back and kind of give us, because when Dowdy steps on the mound, that's a really good chance that we're going to be able to win that game. I mean, 2.25 ERA in 3 starts, 4 appearances, 207 batting average. Like he is like our ace. And if the ace isn't there and the rest of your rotation is struggling, that is not a recipe for winning baseball.
It's kind of interesting, the size of our bullpen, and then the fact that we can't convert that to a positive pitching staff. I had a question, but I forgot what it was. Dang it.
I think that actually you bring up a good point there with like just the size of our bullpen, and that we're still kind of trying to find another starter. Like I'm looking at it. Simon Miller's made 3 starts for us. Kobe Jaramillo's made 2. Ryan Ward's made 2. Grant Miller's made 3. Like we're still almost just kind of like searching, like, okay, we need one more guy who can be our third guy. And it seems like we're just committed to, working it by committee, but without like a solid entrenched guy. I mean, you're seeing a lot of weird setups where, guys are pitching 2 times in 3 days, one time at the start and the other time comes in a relief. Or Mason, I want to say it was during the Rice series, got used on back-to-back days. Like, and when you have a bullpen of that size, like I almost feel like that's just not the recipe for success you want to see.
Yeah. Do you think this kind of goes back to what Eddie was saying earlier about how if you just don't have any, like nobody's prepared to pick up the slack from Dowdy, like he's out, so like that, you think they're kind of shocked when they have to go in and try to convert?
I think you could see that. I also think you could almost extend that out to maybe it's also a mental thing of our ace is out, so I need to be the guy now, and they're almost possibly forcing it. I can't say that for sure. That's just speculation. It's just that could be a factor in that you're almost trying to do too much, because there is such a thing as that. You can try and do too much. Sometimes it's better just to sink into your role. Like if you know that you're not an ace pitcher and they're not counting on you for going, 7 strong, shutout innings, just give them 3 or you give them 4. Turn in a quality college start and set your team up for success. Now, obviously, the bullpen was really the issue like a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this. Like, oh, it's the bullpen. The bullpen is the thing that's holding this team back. Well, now it seems like it's almost kind of infected the starting pitching staff to where now just the entire bullpen / rotation is just shaky. So, like, obviously, you got to say, man, I don't know if this team is, what they were. However, at the same time, you could almost say it was almost a little too early to call them this. And I mean, it's baseball. Like, the best team in baseball can lose to the worst team in baseball. It can happen. Like, baseball has the highest variance of outcomes just because of the type of game it is. I mean, the best player in the baseball can go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. That can happen. LeBron James isn't going to go, 0 for 20 from the field and foul out with, in the first half. That's just not happening. It's not that sort of game. I went to a baseball clinic a couple years ago, back when I lived in Germany. Andre Dawson was there, Baseball Hall of Famer. And the way he explained it to me is that baseball is a game of failure. The best players in baseball are going to strike out, or get out 7 out of 10 at bats. Being great at baseball is a 300 average. Think about that. Any other sport, if you converted on your job 30% of the time, you get fired or let go. I mean, like, can you imagine? Oh yeah, I'm the best kicker in the NFL. I made 30% of my field goals last year. Like, no, you get laughed out of the building. So, like, it's going to be a variance. You're going to see failure in baseball. It's how you bounce back from that failure that matters. And I think that right now you're seeing this team kind of faced with its real first adversity. I mean, like, you can look at it when we dropped against LSU and Baylor, those 4 or 5 games stretch there. Like, sure, that was adversity, but you're almost expecting to lose to those teams, right? They have better talent than you. They recruit, better players than you. You're expecting to put up a fight, and we did. I think that was the important part. But you're almost kind of expecting to lose those games, in the general public sense. And then you go out, though, and you blast the doors off Rice during your conference opener. You look fantastic. I mean, like, Chase King was the National Collegiate Baseball Player of the Year of the week. Of course, he didn't win the Conference USA Hitter of the Week award, but, we're not going to get into that again. But then you come back the next week and you just get run out of your own field by Southern Mississippi, who you were probably expecting to beat. So I feel like this is when you really see the character of this team is how do they come back next week and really, turn it around? I think that's going to be the key.
Can I add one quick note? I would just like to say that Southern Miss, their total team batting average is last in CUSA right now, but their pitching total team ERA is first in Conference USA. So a complete, like, almost opposite of us.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, watching just the first game of the series, it wasn't that Southern Miss was hitting great. It was just that we were walking everybody. So, I mean, that it makes sense. It's not like they were slaving us out of the park in batting. It was just that our pitching just wasn't there.
I mean, especially according to you, Julia, how, we had 2 outs that inning when we sent in, like, what was it again, for like 5 pitchers in the third or something? Like,
yeah, it literally was like a never ending inning. And I was just like, they have, like, all you have to do, like, we need 1 out. And they just kept filtering through pitchers. And I was like, it lasted for so long.
You can't have that. You can't have 2 outs in an inning and not be able to get that final. Like, that is a difference between a regular average baseball team and a good baseball team, is the ability to get the out when you absolutely need an out. And if you're just going up there and no matter who you're putting in is walking, that's just not going to be a recipe for success for you, no matter what team you are. All right, so we're going to move on to talking about soccer here. They beat UTEP, actually, for the first time in program history. Just thought that was interesting. Of course, this wasn't the season that we, probably wanted to see out of them. COVID played a huge part in that, as we discussed last week. But I still think it's pretty darn cool that, we were able to achieve something that we haven't before in the program's history. I think that speaks well for Coach Pittman and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry. So how long has it been?
I believe, let me double check on this, but it's been
Wait, since what?
I'm assuming since we started playing UTEP.
Yeah.
Oh, the first game was in 2006.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so 14 years. Like,
14 years.
Yeah, the first match was in 2006. They've lost every match up until this point. And then we didn't play every year starting in 06 because obviously, like, different conferences. But like once we joined CUSA, it became like a yearly match. And ever since we've joined CUSA, I mean, we've never beat them. And then finally this season we were able to, beat them. So that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
That's showing signs of improvement. Yes, it's slow, but I mean, it's improvements.
It definitely puts a nice little it gives us something nice to talk about with soccer when so far this season's just kind of been a disappointment overall. Although again, I think that it was for factors mostly out of our control. And imagine that, we score the first 2 goals of the game, we get a penalty kick, everything, and things start to kind of roll our way. I feel like this team really was snake boating all year with a lot of weird, random, misfortunes befalling us. So I think, we finally see some bounce our way, and look at that, we turn into a win. So.
Yeah, I think the only thing that really plagues our team, well, not the only thing, but a major thing is we just can't convert on corner kicks. That's one of the most crucial issues with our offense. But Jill Schneider had some amazing saves in that game. So I don't know. We were very evenly matched with UTEP for this game. And honestly, I did not think that we were going to win it. But corner kicks are the main issue in our offense right now. But we're out of the tournament. So it was kind of like they were playing with nothing to lose, I guess you could say. And it was a very aggressive game on both sides of the field. The refs didn't really call a lot of stuff. So you definitely saw some flying in the air, body slam in action, but it was an interesting game.
Yeah, and I think that does speak well to just Coach Pittman's culture of the program and everything, and the fact that you are at the conference tournament, there is nothing left to play for, but you come out and you play hard and you play physical and you manage to get a win over a team that you've never beaten before. And then it speaks well to the fact that the girls are still kind of bought in to it, and they aren't just ready, just put it in neutral and just coast the rest of the way because we're out. There's nothing left to play for. I think that speaks well for them that they are willing to keep fighting for him like that. So it's really good. Now, moving on to tennis side of things, UTS women's tennis, unfortunately, was robbed of an opportunity to possibly chalk up a rare win as the match against Texas A&M Corpus Christi was postponed. But the men's team did manage to get a game in this week against Rice, and they managed to take that one with a 5-2 win. Kind of the same sort of story we've been seeing the last couple of weeks with them, in that their singles play and Yuri Rekau was, again, fantastic. And then their doubles play this time actually came through and managed to secure a point. So I guess my question for you guys is with the conference tournament, so close. We kind of talked about this last week too, but is this the formula that you want to see? Do you want to see them be able to at least be able to hold the line with doubles play and then manage to kind of roll it through into singles play where, you can have your star players like Rekau and Siolin kind of come through and just be able to convert and put 2 points up on the board for you almost automatically? Julie, I want to start with you.
Yeah, I'm not the most knowledgeable about tennis. I wish that was not the case, but I think that if we can hold our own in doubles, that will let us capitalize once we get into singles play. But I'm not sure. Oh, did I freeze?
No, you're good now.
Okay, good. My computer froze, so I was like, But I think if we can, kind of play middle of the pack in our doubles matchups, then once we get to singles, we've got it. But I'm not exactly sure where we stand in conference, but I would say that I'm optimistic about our chances if we can be sitting pretty, after our doubles matches.
That's a good question. Where are we in conference?
I believe tennis is a little weird for Conference USA this year, and that as far as I know, we aren't playing any official conference games. We're playing a lot of teams in conference, but we aren't there isn't a standings or anything like that. It's a little weird this season due to COVID, I think. All right, so now we're going to move on from the UTSA sports side of things. We're going to talk a little national news. We're going to talk the NBA, but we don't really have a major talking point with the NBA other than, Ryan, I wanted to ask you really quick because you missed last week. James Harden came out and said that he felt like he was the MVP last week. How do you feel about that statement, and do you think he is the MVP?
Honestly, he's been balling pretty hard. I know he's hurt right now. I don't know if he's the MVP, but I mean, if you're a player and you're playing at a high level, why wouldn't you bet on yourself? So, I mean, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm playing like, bad or whatever. Like, you're obviously going to hype yourself up, you're going to say that you're the MVP. So, I mean, that's just how he is, I guess. Honestly, I've noticed he's been very like open now since he got traded to Brooklyn. Like he posts on Twitter like every day, and like when he was in Houston, he never posted. Like it was like every other like month or something like that. So I don't know. I just feel like he's been like a different person since he got traded. It's almost like I don't even know who he is anymore. It sounded kind of depressing, but yeah, it feels that way.
I mean, your ex leaves you, goes to a new person, shows a different side of your personality. All of a sudden, you don't even feel like you know him anymore.
I guess so.
All right, so Eddie, go ahead.
Are you bringing this up because Ryan wasn't here last week to defend his boy?
Yeah, exactly. Like he wasn't there to defend James Harden last week, so I felt like I needed to at least get his side of the story.
Cool.
Everything. All right, so now I want to get your guys' opinions on this. The trailer for LeBron James's Space Jam 2 dropped this week. So I wanted to get your guys' reaction to the fact that why the heck are we getting another Space Jam with LeBron James? Eddie, I want to start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't want, another Space Jam. And if we did get it, it would have to have been with Kobe. So why are we getting another Space Jam? I don't know. I guess it's just to keep the legacy of Space Jam going because it was, that too, because of what Ryan's doing, money. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks good. It obviously is going to look good because the last one was so long ago. But I guess it's just for the money and for like the basketball like fan lovers. But that's also going to, anger a lot of people, and it's also going to make a lot of people buy into it. Because you have there's no way you can make another Space Jam because it's Michael Jordan and Michael Jordan only. But then you have the new era, which loves LeBron James. So I think they're gonna like the new Toon Squad or the same Toon Squad, and just a new movie that just brings a new generation.
Julia?
Yeah, I agree with Eddie. I haven't seen the trailer, but I mean, I guess they're just trying to sell to the younger market to continue the interest, I guess. That kind of makes me question. I know everybody talks about how LeBron is better than Michael Jordan and all of that stuff, so like what do you think? Like, do you think that he's kind of trying to fill some pretty big shoes by continuing this, or do you think maybe he's trying to like one up, I guess you could say, like, oh, I did the same thing, but like mine was better.
That's kind of like my takeaway from it is basically, I'm better than MJ. MJ, had a movie with the Looney Tunes, so I'm gonna have a movie with the Looney Tunes, but I'm gonna go like and just go like the full like Ready Player One. Great movie, by the way. Like, take the Ready Player One route. I'm just gonna make it the Warner Brothers Avengers, okay? Like, I saw a great. My mom sent me a great tweet the other day. It was basically about how MJ is out here. I mean, LeBron is out here assembling a super team of like Superman, King Kong, and Gandalf. Meanwhile, MJ managed to beat the Goon Squad with Bill Murray and the dude from Seinfeld. Like, it feels a little weird to me, but like I definitely feel like this is almost like, oh, MJ had a Looney Tunes Space Jam movie for his legacy. I gotta do the same thing now.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, I know LeBron is very active with charity and all of that stuff. Is it going to be any sort of like charitable contributions to it, or are they doing?
I do not know that, actually.
It's a good question.
I always just categorize LeBron as very, very egotistical, and I don't know. I don't like his attitude. So
same.
I try to, kind of reverse that and look at his better qualities when speaking about him. So I just was curious if they had kind of shifted the narrative a little bit there.
And then I saw that Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Dame Lillard, and AD are coming out in the movie as well. So, I mean, I like that aspect.
I mean, yeah, you have to fill your movie with a bunch of, basketball greats that end up just being jobbers for the main guy, right? Like, I mean, you remember the original with like Charles Barkley and stuff like that. I mean, like they were in the movie for, like 5 minutes, just, get rescued by MJ and everything. Just
Yeah.
like MJ basically defeated the entire like NBA All-Star lineup from like 1997 or something by proxy or something like that in that movie. Like, so this is basically LeBron doing the same thing. Ryan, what about you? What are you feeling with this new Space Jam with LeBron James?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, kids today, they're not going to want to watch like old movies unless they're forced to, but these futuristic looking movies and stuff, they're going to be like, "Oh my God, let me watch that." So I'm sure, I mean, it's just all money talking here. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I feel like it's mainly for kids anyways. So like, I know that there's the hardcore basketball lovers here that are like, no, that's not the original Space Jam. But like, at the end of the day, it's kids stuff. So like, can't hate on it too much. But I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's cool. I think it's like interesting that like this generation gets to have their Space Jam too, and it's like kind of relevant to their time. So yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I feel like there's always going to be a Space Jam every few couple of years, I guess now. So like they can constantly just reboot it, I guess. I have no idea, but I mean that's just Hollywood being Hollywood.
I can't wait to see the Bronny James Space Jam 3 in like 25 years from now.
Honestly,
that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like the only reason it's debatable or we're talking about it is because out of all the players in the first Space Jam, the one deleted was Michael Jordan. So what is it saying that in the next one that LeBron is leading the way? So that's just where the debate comes in. Like, hey, like for old timers and the Space Jam, like first 1996 film fan lovers, it's like there's no way you can replicate this movie without Michael Jordan. Like that's literally all it is. And for some people, they find it disrespectful. Like there's no way you're making a new Space Jam with LeBron. Like why not just keep Michael Jordan or, they could have gotten Kobe for it. But that's literally all it is. But I agree with Ryan. I mean, you got to keep it going. I mean, it's been more than 20 years now, like 25 years.
Yeah.
So I think, you should keep Space Jam around. And if this is a way to do it, then we're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I will say that I only have really like one issue with it, and the fact that it's like CG and stuff. Like, come on, what was wrong with using like the old Looney Tune like models and cartoons, like hand animation drawn style? Like that, it's solid. Like you don't need to change. That's like the fun of those Looney Tunes movies is seeing you just fall into the cartoon, and that's where you are. So like seeing it all 3D CGI animated, like just because you can doesn't mean you should. I feel like that kind of falls into this. Like I get it. It's a new generation. They can have their own Space Jam. I'm not going to be the gatekeeper up here saying, "Oh, the only Space Jam that counts is the Michael Jordan one," or anything like that. Like that's not a hill I'm going to go die on or anything like that. Like I'm just going to let them have this, and who knows? I'll probably end up checking it out on HBO Max or something like that, Like why not?
I also saw people like that were pretty angry because I know Pepe's not coming out. And then I think they like totally restructured Lola Bunny. So
that is just the stupidest thing to get mad about. It's a cartoon bunny, for God's sake.
I know, right? That's exactly what I was saying.
We don't need to sexualize the rabbit, people, please. It's not something you need to do.
Exactly.
All right, so speaking of sexualized things, we're gonna talk about the truth Paul Pierce throwing away possibly, one of the things that I want to do with my life, which is go to work for ESPN. This man saw fit to throw away a really nice analyst job at ESPN over an Instagram video in which he appeared smoking, the good stuff. Well, in a strip club, not in a strip club, but he was surrounded by strippers. So, Ryan, I want to get your reaction to the fact that what the heck is Paul Pierce doing out here, which he got fired for, by the way.
It's just Paul Pierce being Paul Pierce. I mean, the guy is crazy. He's just trying to enjoy life, I'm sure he was already getting fed up with like ESPN. I mean, weren't people just like clowning him not too long ago? I feel like people are always like roasting him and stuff like that. So I feel like he kind of did this to be like, hey, look at me, look where I'm at, look what I can do, and you're stuck behind your screen just tweeting at me. It's like I feel like he just kind of just said like, whatever with ESPN, I'm just gonna enjoy my life type of thing. I saw something about him potentially like teaming up with Barstool Sports or something like that. I don't know if y'all saw that. I mean, that could have been just like hearsay, but yeah, I mean, it's just Paul Pierce being crazy. It's just funny.
Yeah, I mean, I will say if he does go to Barstool, he definitely won't be fired for hanging out with strippers. He'll probably get a raise, actually. Julia, I want to go to you.
Did he release the video himself, or did somebody else post
No, he
it?
went on to Instagram Live himself and just like straight up just streamed it to a couple hundred people. Just
Right. Well, because I was gonna say, I mean, like, you're a public figure, like you kind of have to watch yourself and like take personal accountability for the stuff that you do. But I mean, if he's doing it himself and is like, hey, then that's your own dang fault. I mean, maybe he just needed an out or something like that. But I mean, yeah, he should have been fired for it. So I don't I don't know. It's like, if people know who you are, like, don't do stupid stuff like that, at least in public. Like don't post on Instagram. Just do it and then see what happens. Like, what the heck? But if he went to Barstool, I think that'd be cool. I love Barstool. So I don't know.
Eddie, I'll go to you.
David Portnoy. So I obviously have a problem with it, like we all do. I mean, I think he was definitely due to get fired or let go. It's just like what y'all were saying, like why post this stuff or make it even like sociable to view? Because I mean, at that platform at ESPN, I mean, you literally can't get away with anything. So I just don't know. And then it's Paul Pierce. Like, I don't even know why Paul Pierce is there, or Richard Jefferson at the table. Like, there's just so many better like athletes, and like Paul Pierce is one of them that I really don't like buy into when he talks. Like, I'd rather listen to other athletes. So I mean, he should be like appreciative that he was even on ESPN, and for him just to throw it away, it's like you're working at ESPN, dream jobs for like all of us right here right now, and just to get rid of it like on stuff like that, on dumb decisions like this, is just showing how ungrateful he is and careless he is, really.
Yeah, kind of like Eddie, you touched on, like he works for ESPN, which means he works for Disney. Disney is not going to let you get away with posting an Instagram live video, smoking the good stuff, and hanging out with strippers. They're just not going to let that fly.
Even on his day off. Even
on your day off, that's not going to fly, because you represent. As soon as you work for ESPN, you represent the brand, and you work for the Mickey Mouse ears. If the ears and the House of Mouse is displeased, they will cut you loose. They don't have time to be spending money on people like that. So, like. And like you're saying, that is our dream jobs here. I mean, like, we want to work in sports journalism. So see somebody that got there, and granted, didn't really go the journalism route to get there. I mean, former player and everything. But the fact that he was still there doing what we want to do, and then he just kind of throws it away. It's like it's frustrating. Like, shoot, Paul, if you don't want it, I'll take it. Like,
exactly.
Like, come on. It's frustrating, but I mean, like, all I could do was shake my head and go. And this is why I don't use social media very much, right? Like, nothing good will come out from social media. Best you'll do is just kind of grow your profile. Worst, you're going to end your career immediately. Like, just be careful on social media. Do not do anything like Paul Pierce. He may be the truth, but he is not the truth.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. You like it?
Yeah, kind of.
All right. So we didn't really talk about that last week, but now I got my baseball partner in crime here on the show with me today. So Ryan, we got to talk some baseball here. Opening day, of course, was on April 1st, even though that wasn't really much of a joke. But Ryan, I want to talk to you. What are you feeling like for this upcoming season for baseball here? We got a lot of storylines. Of course, the Astros really hearing it right now. So what are you feeling like for hopes and expectations for this season?
Yeah, it's a wrap for the league already. Astros are going to be the 2021 MLB champs this year. So, I mean, everybody else can just enjoy playing, the rest of their season, hyping up the fans, letting their fans enjoy some baseball once again. But it's a wrap, man. Nah, that was 4 years ago, man. 4 years ago. They didn't cheat to get to the 2019 World Series. So, but anyways, yeah, I mean, I've obviously been following the Astros very closely this season, and they've been playing phenomenal. Like Jordan and Kyle Tucker, man. Kyle Tucker he's brought in a run in every game this season. That's really good. If you would have told me Kyle Tucker would have been doing this, I would have been like, no way. The guy's super inconsistent. You know, it's not always showing up. But I mean, man, he has been playing very well. And then having Yordan Alvarez back has been huge. Like, he's always just a huge, you know, momentum swinger for that offense. So he can easily wake up the bats for them whenever. The pitching staff has been, you know, okay. It's been pretty good. I'm really excited for Jake Odorizzi to come back from the alternative training site. Supposedly he had a simulation game the other day, and he went like 5 innings without a hit and like 4 or 5 strikeouts or something like that. So I mean, once they can get him back on board, that rotation is going to be looking really, really nice. So I like where they're at right now. I mean, granted, they did play the Oakland A's, and the A's kind of are not looking too hot this year. They're not looking good at all. But I mean, the AL West is definitely going to be the Astros and the Angels, you know, fight to lose this year, it seems like, because the Angels series was pretty tense. Mariners have been doing okay this year as well. But I mean, I think last year, I think they started off pretty well.
Yeah, Mariners were really hot last year and then kind of just fell apart.
Just fell off the face of the earth, exactly. So, I mean, I really think it's just going to go down to who can stay healthy down the stretch of the season because, I mean, that's always going to play a big factor. I saw Fernando Tatis is hurt. Yeah, Tatis is hurt. So, like, that's not good for, you know, the Padres out there. I mean, obviously, they have all those weapons, and that pitching staff is pretty phenomenal in its own right. But, you know, you still got the Dodgers out west. So,
and you got to be perfect to catch the Dodgers.
Exactly. I mean, you got
to. Any games Tatis misses his games, you're going to lose on the Dodgers.
Exactly. You know, you gotta stay toe to toe with the Dodgers if you're in, you know, kind of fight for your playoff spot this year. So, you know, things have been good. It feels good to have the, you know, MLB back in full swing. Although I will say, the Rangers fans that went out to the game for full capacity are insane. Why do you want to go see a 100-loss team, you know, and risk your life? That's no, bad. That's horrible.
Bad idea.
Bad idea.
Yeah. Now, personally, Ryan, I gotta say you're wrong because the 2021 World Series champions will be the Yankees this year. I've been saying this now for what feels like 3 years, but this year will finally be the year. We are the deepest we've been in a while. We are healthy. Hold on. Okay, had to knock on wood. We are healthy. Jay Bruce is going to be the greatest backup first baseman ever. Luke Voigt's going to come back from injury. He's going to be great. Cole has been on fire to start the year. He went 7 scoreless and 13 strikeouts last night. Judge and Stanton are hitting well to start the year. Like, it's off to a good start. And, you know, look, we had a bit of a rough start against Toronto and everything. But, you know, playing Baltimore cures everything, okay? Unless you're a Boston Red Sox, you know, team, in which case, you know, you're gonna get swept by the Orioles. You know, you're gonna be the worst team in the AL East. Don't at me. So I don't know. My expectation is that this is finally our year. We have all the pieces. It's gonna come together, and we will finally get that Dodgers Yankees matchup that has been in the books for what feels like 3 seasons now. We're finally gonna learn how to hit the ball in the postseason. We are no longer gonna get shut down by some hotshot pitching staff rotation that's just going to neutralize our bats. Another fun stat I found out because Stanton homered last night with Judge is that we are undefeated when Stanton and Judge hit a home run in the same game. So all we need to do is just have them hit like 7 home runs in 7 games during the postseason and we'll be fine. Like, just do that. Other than that, though, I think another main hope I have for the season is please let Shohei Ohtani be healthy. Baseball is a much more fun and interesting game when he is healthy and can both pitch and hit. So I just want him to stay healthy because he looked really good during his first start, and then he got slid into by Abreu during a Sunday Night Baseball and everything.
Is he still out?
He is fine. He came in and he pinch hit and everything, and they just kind of took him out for precautionary reasons that game.
Okay.
Like, please let Ohtani be healthy because I want to see a full season of what he can do.
That's fair. Yeah. Definitely another interesting point was like, or interesting storyline that happened was like the whole thing with the Nationals and like COVID stuff going on still. That's crazy. I thought most of the teams would have had stuff figured out, but it just goes to show you that, you know, any of these teams can go down one week and, you know, they're out with COVID. So also going to be like another interesting, like lingering storyline throughout the, as the season continues on.
Yeah, I think it's very important to note that even though, we are hypothetically at least kind of reaching the finish line here, you still have to stay on guard. Because I know there's like, not talking about baseball, but NHL wise, the Vancouver Canucks have seen their almost entire team test positive for COVID in the last like couple days, and their season is on life support at this point because they're going to miss so much time due to protocol. So, I mean, like, even if we're so close to the end, you got to stay on guard because this thing can still just spiral in a hurry if you aren't being strictly adherent to your protocol set.
Exactly.
More than anything, though, I'm just glad to have baseball back. I'm glad to see at least some fans socially distanced in the stands. Baseball is better in the stands when you can, have the crowd going. Even though the one thing I will miss that is going to get less and less as the stadiums kind of fill back up, you aren't going to get that pure crack of the bat anymore of a really well hit home run. Like, it's not going to be as resounding of almost a gunshot as it is right now, and I'm going to miss that sound because that's the purest sound in sports, in my opinion. So
very nice.
I'm going to miss that aspect at least, but I'm glad to see we're back to a 162 game season. We're going to see fans. We're going to see an all-star game. It's going to be nice. I'm excited to see baseball back.
Looking forward to the Yankees and Astros game later this season. Should be interesting.
That's one more thing that I'm hoping for. I want to just see the Astros just continue to be ridiculed the entire season. Let's keep the fan ridicule coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you love it and everything, and you're saying it fuels you, but they got denied the chance last year. I want to let them hear it. Let's keep the trash can blow up dolls coming down and everything. Let's keep banging the trash cans. I love it. Just keep letting them hear it.
No, yeah, let's keep it going. Clearly, it's lighting a fire in those players' bellies. Even though, I thought it was funny because they were, when they played the A's the other day, they were booing Martin Maldonado. He was literally part of the Angels organization in 2017. He wasn't even part of the team. They were yelling that he was a cheater. Same thing with like Jordan. Jordan wasn't even in the, he wasn't even on the roster at that point. I think he was still in the minors or something like that. Like it's just hilarious that these fans are just like heckling just to heckle at this point. Like if you're gonna do it, at least direct it towards the players that were, part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I will give you that. However, I do think that even if you are on the Astros and you're part of that team, you should probably get like George Springer over in Toronto now. I want to hear him here. Like, let's be like tactical in where we target our heckling. Like, let's let Altuve, Correa, and Bregman hear it. But like, if the guys weren't there, like that's fine.
It
but
makes
I mean,
no
like,
sense.
Yeah. So that's what I think. We're going to move on to the NFL now, though, for our last topic of the day, because we had a pretty massive trade, actually. It's really going to kind of determine where this draft is going. Sam Darnold finally shipped out of New York after what felt like a good 4 or 5 month speculation of will they, won't they. Now he's going over to Carolina in exchange for a 2nd, 4th, and 6th round draft picks. So, Eddie, I want to start with you. What does this mean for Carolina and Teddy Bridgewater and for the Jets?
The roulette quarterback carousel continues again. I think for the Jets, I mean, it's clear you need a quarterback, but what it does for the Panthers or what it does for the Jets is what you want to know. No, I'm asking, like, would you want to know what the Jets want to do or what the Panthers?
Let's start with the Panthers. Do you think that Sam Darnold slots in starter now, or are we gonna have a QB competition between him and Teddy?
I mean, why would you trade? I mean, it wasn't much, 2nd round pick is really the most. But I mean, other than that, why would you trade? I know Teddy Bridgewater really didn't have the best season, and I know it's hard to just say, you had your chance, Teddy Bridgewater, for the year you had, because really his bread and butter, all-star, superstar player, Christian McCaffrey, was hurt for really most of the season. So it would have been good to just see, a full season with Teddy and him, just see what they could do. I know relying on Christian McCaffrey too much is going to get him hurt, and I guess that's what happened. But I don't see why you trade. Of course, again, it's just a 2nd round pick, and the others not to start Sam Darnold. And I believe he's pretty good. I think the Jets are a sorry team. So it's kind of tricky to like determine if it was Sam Darnold or it was the other team. I mean, they got rid of Le'Veon Bell during the season. I'm not really sold on their roster. I know did they still have Robbie Anderson and Quincy?
No, he went out. Anunwa got let go, and Anderson went over to Carolina, actually.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Darnold would have a familiar target to throw to
Yeah,
there.
so is Jamison Crowder still there?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. I mean, even then, those players are not really your,
They're not alpha receivers that, are going to make a huge difference. Like, Crowder's decent, but, like, he's not like a Julio or a, Mike Evans or something like that.
And then considering, like, their defense is really not all that, and they got rid of Le'Veon Bell plus Robbie Anderson. And in the division they're in, you take all that into consideration, it's hard to, determine Sam Darnold was the problem. And that goes ahead and leads me to the next conversation. I mean, their backup is Trevor Siemian, so obviously they need a quarterback. And I know it's probably going to be Zach Wilson or Mac Jones. I believe if you get rid of Sam, you have to go with the quarterback, even though now everybody's saying after his pro day that Kyle Pitts is the best player in the draft, but that's another conversation we could have after this. I think they go Zach Wilson and they just start from there because I think that's just the right move to do. But I think Sam Darnold will be the starter come week 1 for the Carolina Panthers.
Julie, I want to go to you. What do you think about Sam Darnold being on the move?
Sure. I have nothing to say about it. I don't know. I'm not the biggest NFL gal, just the Cowboys, which is sad to say once again. Yeah, that's I don't have any hot takes for this one. Sorry.
Ryan?
Okay, so I thought it was super interesting. I honestly did not believe it at first. I was like, whoa, this is kind of interesting because I thought Teddy for sure was going to be the guy. And then, they had, what's it called? They had brought in PJ. Well, I know PJ Walker's not a big name quarterback, but I mean, he did play at Temple.
XFL legend.
Yeah, XFL legend. But yeah, Sam Darnold's definitely if they gave up what they did, they're gonna give him the shot to eventually take the starting spot for the Panthers. I mean, he's gonna be set there though. He's gonna have Christian McCaffrey. He's got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. I mean, that's a pretty good base right there. And then we're really going to see if Sam Darnold is worth it, in Carolina, I guess, because with the team that he does have around him. So this is going to be interesting. I really feel bad for Teddy Bridgewater because I really thought that
I was about to say that.
I thought this was going to be the team for him to like finally, stick on again.
I mean, they gave him a 3-year, $63 million deal. If that doesn't say we're committed to you, I don't know what does. And then
exactly, like I thought this was going to be, his time to shine. Like obviously the health issues weren't, there last season, but it's definitely sad to see Teddy Bridgewater go out like this. I really wish that he would have stuck on and gotten his opportunity.
That's a guy that I think that forever will kind of be like one of those, man, if only he hadn't gotten hurt kind of things.
Yeah,
I thought he was set there in Minnesota.
Don't even bring that up.
I'm sorry, Eddie. Like it was tragic. Anyways, Ryan,
sad.
Go on.
And for the Jets, yeah, this definitely is either pointing towards Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, but I think they're going to end up going with Zach Wilson. I personally do not buy the Ohio State quarterback pipeline thing. I think it is cursed. I think it'll always be cursed. So I'm never going to buy into that. The Jet, I know, taking a risk on a BYU quarterback and a very mobile quarterback at that with Zach Wilson, it's definitely rolling the dice. But if anybody loves to imitate other teams, it's the New York Jets. And clearly, I don't want to jump the gun here, but it does seem that they're trying to copy a little bit about what Baltimore has been doing. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some crazy type of play calls with Zach Wilson and, lots of running schemes and trying to turn themselves into a run heavy offense, because clearly they love to snatch former Ravens players and try to replicate what Baltimore has been doing for years. But yeah, I mean, New York just, they need a lot of help. Clearly, they need a lot of help. So hopefully for Jets fans, Zach Wilson will be the answer for them. I mean, they thought it would be Darnold, and here we are talking about the Jets potentially taking Zach Wilson. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I might have to start paying attention if Zach Wilson's going to be there.
Zach Wilson
think-
did play UTSA this year too. Just throwing out.
He did,
throwing
and
it out
honestly,
there.
that was probably the worst he looked in a game. Like probably, like honestly,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
Zach Wilson ran over
you're not
everybody
wrong.
else aside from like Coastal Carolina was like the only other game where I would say he struggled. But like UTSA, we held him in check, which I think says something. Like
Yeah.
Shout out trailer.
And that was
Yeah.
like one of the first games of the season.
yeah, that was like
It's
one of the
not-
first major games we had, and that was the game Lowell came in and like took over.
Yeah, I'm sold on Zach Wilson. I think he's gonna after his pro day, seeing his pro day, just the dots he was throwing, he looks
Chugging it.
really good. And it's tough because like I know there's conversation of, even I know it's a far reach, but that Zach Wilson might go before Trevor Lawrence. And then now the conversation is Kyle Pitts is the best like player in the draft. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see like 1 through 5, Jaguars, Jets, 49ers, Falcons, Bengals. I wouldn't be surprised if something gets mixed up there. I would not. But back on Teddy Bridgewater, it is sad. It's kind of depressing because everywhere he's been, he's had a quarterback like controversy. Like he's always been, you're not the number 1, you're the number 2, or maybe you are. There's always been that. In Minnesota, he had that. I know with Sam Bradford, he had that. And then he went with the Jets. And then, Case Keenum and Sam Bradford with the Vikings. And then he went to the Jets. Not even for long. I think he didn't even finish the season with the Jets.
Yeah, I
He
want
went
to
the
say, didn't he
Saints.
he got cut in
Yeah.
preseason by the Jets and went over to, but it was more of like less of a, we don't think you're good cut and more of a,
Yeah.
we're going to do right by you kind of cut. And
And then he went to the Saints. He played 5 games. He won all 5 or 6 games when Drew Brees was gone.
5-0.
And the question was, when Drew Brees, hits the hay, like this is your team. He gets let go. They get Jameis Winston and they keep Taysom Hill. He goes to the Panthers. He gets a big payday. And then now bring in Sam Darnold. He's back where he was when he was drafted in 2014, trying to find his place in the league. So
He's having to deal with going up against another, 6 foot something white quarterback from a.
exactly.
Like-
And being a Vikings fan, I mean, I've seen him for 3-4 years. I've always liked Teddy, but he was never that, 20 plus quarterback thrower. Like he's just, short, think and dunk. He's accurate. He was mobile. He was pretty good as a game manager. So I did like that from Teddy, but I always wanted to see, like deep balls, something 20 plus all the time. And now he's really, since his injury, he's really been that QB manager in the 20-yard range. But after the season, it's kind of tough to imagine that he would, be the starter again after going, I think they went 5-11. So, I mean, and then with the Jets going back to them, you could take Zach Wilson and I'm pretty sure you're not going to replicate 2 wins. Like I'm pretty sure they'll get more than 2, hopefully, with Zach Wilson.
I mean, the coaching staff is better at least, right?
Yeah.
Like you aren't going to see any, 0 blitzes on a game-winning Hail Mary attempt or anything like that next season. No, Salah isn't going to do that sort of crap.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I mean, I'll say this much. I'm supremely interested to see what Sam Darnold does now that he has escaped Adam Gase. Because we all thought like Ryan Tannehill was a really like below average quarterback. And as soon as he escaped Miami and went to Tennessee, he looks really good and he got his payday and everything. So now I want to see like, was Sam Darnold just surrounded by completely incompetent, coaching staff and a team that had
I
no
believe so.
talent?
I believe so.
I mean, I think that it's clear he did, but like to what extent? Because I mean, like at the end of the day, Sam Darnold has been pretty bad. Like there's a reason why he was a first round, top 3 pick 3 seasons ago, and now he got traded for a second round draft pick as like the market. Like the Panthers didn't even have to give up the number 8 pick. Like they can go out and they can get another weapon for him. Like if Kyle Pitts were to somehow slide or something like that, like Carolina can pick anybody they want in this draft because so many quarterbacks are going to come through those first, 3 or 4 picks. Like Carolina's going to give him another difference maker.
Yeah, I don't believe Kyle Pitts will slide.
Kyle Pitts is probably.
He's gonna go number 3. Just watch.
He's the 5th ranked prospect according to CBS Sports, and he's the first ranked tight end.
Pitts is either going to go to Cincinnati. or
not.
he's going
I
to
hope
go
not.
to Atlanta. That is my guess.
I
hope
pray
not.
to God he does not end up in Cincinnati.
In the division.
I hope not. No, Burrow needs help though. Burrow needs O-line help, or he's
Burrow
gonna
needs
die.
Sewell. Like
He's gonna die after this
he's
season.
got to get Sewell. If Burrow doesn't get Sewell, Burrow's career will be over by year 3. Like
if they get Pitts, they're trying to kill Burrow this season, and they're making it very clear they're trying to get him killed.
It's just hard to pass Kyle Pitts, especially after his pro day.
His pro day was impressive.
6'6", a 4.4 40, like that's insane. That's like almost Megatron numbers right there.
He's the next Kelsey Kittle tight end. Like that's the deal. He's the next guy.
I think he has potential to be even better at that height and speed. I think he's faster than them already.
Like
He's
some
definitely
Antonio
faster
Gates, Tony Gonzalez prime type player.
I don't know. I could see them be better.
More like, yeah, I could see them being better. Yeah,
because here's the deal with those guys is they're more like those end zone threat type of tight ends, and Pitts is more just like he's a receiver in a tight end's body.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. So
in a Megatron body, it's gonna be tough. But again, back to the Jets, it's hard to like say Sam Darnold was a problem. I mean, when's the last player that you can think of that left the Jets and was like, you know, pretty high rated draft pick except Darrelle Revis? Like you can't think of one.
Leonard Williams, with the going across, you know, the hall
true.
To the Giants.
True, yeah, that's a sleeper one. Yeah, you're right. But
it doesn't always work out.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, the Jets are known to be last in the division. I mean, and then with Sam Darnold, I think we might see, you know, a resurgence, especially with Drew Brees retiring, the Falcons, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones diminishing. I mean, I think they're the second best team in the division now with Drew Brees out and what's going on with the Falcons, wasting Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. So, and we talked about, you know, he's got healthy Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson now. I think now they just need to find a tight end. And I think their defense is pretty suited pretty well. So
the defense is going to come together. I mean, again, though, he's going from Adam Gase to Matt Rule. I think that's probably an upgrade. Like, granted, Matt Rule first season record is not there, but there's a reason he got that long contract, that much, you know, annually. Like, they believe that he can build a team. They weren't really exactly. They knew they were going to be bad last season, and they were honestly competitive for a large portion of the season. Like, they didn't really have too many games where they just got completely blown out of the building or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So I think that Darnold's in position to succeed. I feel bad for Teddy. There might be a quarterback competition, but I feel like that's one that Darnold's going to have kind of like the leg up just because of what we paid to get you. Like, you don't spend draft capital for a backup quarterback. But
they also did pay Teddy a lot too, so
they did. That's an important consideration.
Yeah, and it's just good to get out of the Jets right now because I just feel like they're not going to go anywhere in the next couple of years. I mean, you got the Bills like literally being the Kings now. The Dolphins are coming up. Mm-hmm. You know, the Patriots are going to get back to their ways. So I see them being this 2-14 team every year for a good while. So I don't think you want to be on the Jets right now. So good for Sam Darnold getting out of there.
Yeah, I will say I feel at least I'm with you in that I feel like the Jets are the clear bottom feeder. They probably will be, but I do like the coach. I love Saleh. I love the work he did in San Francisco with that defense. Course. As a Rams fan, essentially being able to just completely solve us like the Rubik's Cube every single time we played was annoying as hell. But like, I know that like Darnold is like wasn't the issue, and they're gonna get a new guy in there probably, whether it be Wilson or Mac Jones or Justin. As a kind of a quick aside, I don't like this whole Justin Fields sliding business. Like, I don't see exactly what he did to deserve to all of a sudden fall down draft boards, because he played really well during the college football playoff. He was better than Trevor Lawrence that game. His pro day wasn't bad. Like, Mac Jones had a bad pro day. Like, I don't know if you saw some of those throws that Mac Jones was making that had Bill Belichick shaking his head and stuff like that, but Mac Jones had a bad pro day. So I don't get where this whole Mac Jones is, above Justin Fields on the draft boards business is coming from, because like Fields had a good pro day. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Mac Jones' value went down or anything. I still feel like he's still raw. He is an Alabama QB. So I think there's potential there. I think he just had a bad day. But as far as, him dropping to the Falcons or staying with the 49ers, I still think he goes there. Um, if anywhere else, maybe the Lions, but I think that I think Justin Fields will be there either way. So, but back to you on Salah. I mean, I agree with you. Salah is a very good defensive head coach or defensive coach. But let's be real now. He doesn't have what he had in San Francisco. He doesn't
That
have
is true.
Eric Armstead, D Ford, All Pro Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Like it's. Oh, you gonna say?
Well, now I agree with you there. However, I think it's important to note that some of those guys like Fred Warner didn't really become a thing until they played for him.
Salah. Yeah.
So that could point to his development prowess because like that defense was not that great when he got there, and they turned that into an elite unit pretty quickly.
Yeah, but it's you can say that, and you can also say that all these picks like Eric Armstead, D Ford, Nick Bosa were all first round picks. Like I think for like 4 straight years, the 49ers drafted nothing but first round defensive linemen.
That is true. Now,
So
but I will come back and I will say that, hey, the Jets are probably going to be there for a couple of years. So, who's to stop them from assembling some talent like that, right? Like,
yeah, that's true. They will be there being last in the division and being sorry for a while because I think that division, the East, is going to be pretty stacked from here on out. Especially the Dolphins finish with double digits. The Bills are crazy good, talented.
I mean, the Dolphins and Bills are just set up for prolonged success for another, good 6 or 7 years probably. Like they're just set up.
Yeah, so. The Bills are just missing experience, and that's it because they have the talent. The Dolphins are just maybe a couple moves away, and Bill Belichick and the Patriots are eventually going to find their way, especially with signing the entire or signing 100 players in the offseason this past couple weeks. So I think the Jets will be there. You're right, and maybe Salah might have another Eric Armstead, D Ford, Nick Bosa, draft in the next couple of years.
Exactly. All right, well, that is all the time that we have for today. So I want to say thank you so much, as always, for tuning in and listening. And we will see you all next week. Have a good one.